All right, it's on. Welcome, hello, and welcome everybody to this episode of Live at the Lounge. It is Sunday, the 26th of January, and I'm sitting here with Alex Jester, my usual co-host, and Thomas Hall, insurance extraordinaire expert fella. Is that right?
Well, I don't know about extraordinaire, but
you said it was a good description.
Do insurance. Insurance, yes.
He does insurance. So the format of the podcast is we'll be here for about an hour, just chatting with stuff about small business, about maybe a little bit of what's in the news and what's going on. And it is an interactive podcast, so we do monitor the feed here. So if you've got questions that you want to throw at me or Alex, or especially the guest Thomas on the subject of insurance, just holler at us. So welcome, Thomas. Welcome, Alex.
Can you insure anything in theory? Like, could you ensure that this is going to be a good podcast? And if not, how do you handle that?
Well, I'll go both ways.
Okay.
I insure home and auto and flood insurance. That's
Okay.
what we're focused on, maybe some small business. But in theory, yes, you can insure anything through Lloyd's of London, but I would not be the person to talk to for that.
Okay. So just, I guess, real quick, and I mean, feel free to, dispute this, but isn't insurance essentially the insurance company is gambling that something is not going to occur
Or is going to occur.
And that is the reason for said
Absolutely.
premium?
Well, so an insurance carrier, again,
What is your role?
I'm not. My
So
role is
they know where you're coming from.
We're an advisor, so we're an insurance brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
So we represent over 30 plus companies. So when you come to us and you're interested in insuring your home or your automobile, we search to see who's best fit for you.
Okay. Is it only home and auto for you?
No, we flood.
So do you insure people,
motorcycles?
or do you insure companies? Do you do corporate insurance for stuff, or do you insure like people? Say, hey, I need my car insured. What's your client?
He's getting to that.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
So we do.
Carry on.
So we do home, auto, umbrella,
Yeah.
flood, motorcycle, RV, boat, and then some business.
So pretty much anything.
So your Bob. Well, but we do then on people. We do life, only term and whole. So we don't do health insurance. We don't do any of the universal insurance for ourselves. I mean, there are other people that do that.
Right, for sure.
And we don't do any of the crazy stuff.
If you haven't thought of it, I think actually really good advertising would be to sell umbrellas with your logo, and then on the top of them say, "You're covered with our umbrella policy."
Oh, I like that. That's a good one.
Although travelers might get mad at us because we have travelers, and travelers uses the umbrella. In the advertising.
Oh, see, somebody in New York's already smarter than us, Alex. We're fired.
That's a good choice.
But no, on a more serious note, with your marketing, I think the way I first ran across you, and probably what caused us to connect outside of cigars that we have in common, was the fact that you used to dress up in a suit, didn't you, and dance
I
around
just used
a bit.
to. I still every now and then.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that and the brand you've started to put together in College Station. Tell us a little bit about that. The guy in the suit.
So as a local insurance brokerage, I don't have the marketing dollars accessible to me that other big names do. And so I had to be creative. How do I get to be known? And I'm interested in building relationships within the community. And so to build those relationships, I wanted to do something that people weren't doing.
Right.
So I would, I go see what I would call referral partners. I go see people that are the opinion leaders and the change agents like realtors and mortgage brokers.
Right.
When I go see them, I see them on holidays, I'll go dressed as a leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day, or Easter Bunny or Easter, or Uncle Sam for 4th of July.
And you put.
And when you saw me, I was in a American flag suit.
Yeah.
And I was with other businesses that I had done business with to introduce them to Bryan College Station.
What a cool
like
concept of things to do, because you're coming out and you're saying, hey, I do this, and let's be honest, insurance is like really kind of boring and shit, right? But I'm boring, but I'm wearing a bunny suit, so we're going to have a good conversation. And you just kind of disrupted that little, I don't say the entire market, but you just put a little kink in the chain of what general insurance advertising is. So well done, because that is what, I don't want to say attracted me to you in the first place, because but no, that is what caught my eye about you and about your marketing, was the fact that you were doing something similar to us in the fact that you were taking on other small businesses and helping them grow their audience, and in turn by doing that growing your own audience. But it stuck out like a sore thumb, because you were literally the only guy in town that was willing to laugh at himself and say, look, insurance is a serious business, but we can still have fun and get it done. So well done. I like that.
Well, thank you. Absolutely. And that's the reason I did it, because insurance is boring. So approaching it from your side, you're both realtors. People get excited about the house. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you're not supposed to.
No, we are.
That. Well, people get excited from my perspective. People get excited about the house.
Right, right, exactly.
And then to get the house, they have to be okay with going to see their mortgage broker or lender.
Right.
But then insurance is the thing they do the last day before.
Yep. Every time.
And so it was like, well, you've got to have it, but you're not excited about it.
Right. No, you're not. And
no.
it's just like, well, most people, they obviously already have insurance agent relationships when they come to us. But for most people, it's the very last thing on their list. Is like, oh, I want this house. All right, well, do you have any money? Right, well, let's go and see someone about some money. Right. And then the last thing they think about is insurance. So, yeah.
When it shouldn't be, because at least with our carriers, if we quote it out 14 days before you close, you get a discount. Because again, you asked about gambling. Insurance carriers are interested in, they're risk adverse. They don't like risk. I mean, they're insuring against risk, but they don't like it. So if you're getting a quote 14 days out, you must be safe because you're thinking about it ahead of time.
That makes sense.
So if you quote it the day before, it's going to be the most expensive that it's
going to be. Can we coin this then? Thomas's top tip.
Well, that's one. Yeah.
Thomas's top tip.
If you're gonna buy a home, get your insurance quote just as soon as you get your contract in.
Right.
Well, there you go.
And get it locked in.
I think you could probably have a really good market if you just went on a commercial and said, oh, like, everything's going great for you, right? Oh, it's not? Does it, like anytime something, for me, it has been, anytime anything has been going well for me, it is like, I'll get a check for a closing, and then all of a sudden, you know, the realtor dues, they're like, hey, this is due in 2 days, or we're closing your account. I'm like, all right, thanks. Appreciate that. And so it's almost like everything good, it's just like,
it never rains, but it pours, does it?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and the other positive about contacting me, not only do you discount as you buying the home, but I can tell you if there have been previous claims against the home.
Oh, yeah.
And why that's important is because previous claims count against you and your insurance premium. For
even on somebody else's
house.
when
somebody hits you
because
in
that
your
home
car.
Because they're again risk. No, we're talking about homes.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. What happened when you got hit? Did your insurance go up when you got hit?
Yeah, yes. three times in 3 years.
Because he's risky.
He didn't do shit. He wasn't at fault in any of them.
But he's a risk magnet. That's the way they view it. I mean, I'm not. It's not me. It's just. They view it as because there's something about him or his vehicle or his driving habits.
No,
even
though he didn't cause it,
zero speeding tickets.
For some reason, he's a magnet for risk.
0 speeding tickets, and I had 0 accidents prior to that had been claims. But yeah, just every time
he was hit 3 times. Like hit.
Now sometimes you can avoid it going as if you're hit, and if you go through your insurance company to get it resolved, then it counts against you. But sometimes if you contact the person that hit you, you go through their insurance company. Then it doesn't show as a claim against yours. Sometimes.
Right.
Sounds to me like a rigged game.
I don't know about rigged, but it's just
like Vegas casinos and gambling.
Yeah.
Casino right here.
Yeah. So
I'm not a casino. I don't see
be the bookie.
Do you guys have insurance for your window fronts? It'd be a shame if a brick went through there.
Yeah, maybe I can insure you against Google reviews, negative Google reviews.
Ouch, man.
Wow, that would be honestly, a lot of business owners would pay for that.
So, yeah.
And I think they do.
It's called Yelp, isn't it?
Yeah, Yelp does that. Where
Yelp's already cornered the market.
You can pay to get those bad reviews taken away.
No, let's, because,
not Yelp.
Paid reviews suck, man. I mean, the way Yelp works and stuff, I've got some really good Yelp reviews, and they just don't show up because I don't pay Yelp.
Yeah.
For those that don't follow too closely to the business side of things, I got an irate text from Tex the other day with the Texas Media Foundry, and he was all like just spitting feathers and like I think he actually used the word motherfucker. He was very cross, which for Tex it's completely out of character.
Yeah.
You know, it's very rare that I ever hear him swear at all. Never mind text me the word. And somebody had left a review for our business, which isn't actually open yet. We just took over a new location in downtown Bryan, and we haven't got the time with clients to get it remodeled yet. So we've just put up some construction plastic in the windows, and the building is vacant. Somebody left a 3-star review for our company, so I posted the review to Facebook and was like, man, it sucks. It's hard enough trying to make a living. And then an amazing thing happened. Like, a couple of mates left 5-star reviews, and but a lot of clients left 5-star reviews. Out of 12 5-star reviews we got left, I think 9 of them were actual genuine previous clients that we worked with that said what a great job we did. So from a negative review to 12 positive ones, it's very good. But online reviews can really sink or swim a company. You know, we're taking over some marketing for One, and they're a pretty big company. When you look, their online reviews, I think they've got 2.1 out of 5 stars with like over 500 reviews.
Oof.
And I'm just scratching my head going, well, how am I going to fix this? So yeah.
Change the name.
Change the name. Yeah. No,
location.
you have to change the culture. You have to change it from the beginning. So yeah. Anyway, how was your week, Alex? Let's talk a little bit about you, because you got some.
I thought we were interviewing Thomas.
No, we want to talk about
no,
you.
this is we want to talk. We're interviewing
I saw
everybody.
you did something Saturday.
It's a discussion.
Yeah.
We had a good
How's
day
that
Saturday.
workshop?
Yeah, so it was great. We had a workshop hosted, the investment one. We discussed where a property was bought that's going to be fixed and flipped and then sold for profit. So the idea was to encourage anybody who's ever even considered it. A lot of people, you'll hear, I mean, I'm sure anybody who's ever picked up a tool or painted a wall in their house and they're like, I should flip a house. And
Yeah, this will be easy.
Right.
What could possibly go wrong?
And sometimes they can, but a lot of people, the immediate reaction when they go to even begin looking online, they see something cheap and then they think of that Money Pit movie, and it's you have to wonder, what can I get that for? What's even a decent offer? I don't know if their number is way out of the ballpark, if it's a steal, anything like that. And then once you get it, that you're not going to be in a money pit that's have, you know, all kinds of problems, and then what can you sell it for based off the work and effort you put in? Because again, you can buy a $50,000 house just because you build, you know, a $100,000 kitchen that's, you know, Gordon Ramsay approved, but it's not going to sell in that neighborhood because nothing's ever sold for more than $100,000. So there's gives and takes on that, and then what goes in. And so it was actually really good. A couple people just turned out for an open house, but some people in my inner circle as well who I had never known were even interested in it came out, and they, you know, it was really flattering when they said, if you're actually hosting a workshop, that you would have thought about it and would be able to at least tell me if I'm off, you know, off track, even thinking about it. So that was it was really nice, and I think there's something to it where I'd never done it before, but going forward, trying to break it down, maybe more specific, because there's so many things in the paper that I had. And
you could do a whole class on just the kitchen or just the bathroom.
Right.
I mean,
but then it's, you know, do you go and buy a house that you're just buying because there's potential to rent it out and you want to make rental money? And
there's all kinds of variables for property investments.
Do you buy a house and you can put some paint on it and sell it for a little bit more? Do you want to buy a house, tear the drywall out, gut it?
That's why flipping in this particular market is so hot and competitive, because you don't need to break out that profit up front, because you know, as long as the market stays buoyant, you're never going to have a problem renting a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in this town. It's always going to rent relatively quickly if it's priced right. So a lot of investors can come in, and I flipped my first house when I was 24.
It's like 30 years ago, right?
Yeah. No money down, 6-month balloon note. It was the most amazing experience of my young life to that point, and I made like $16,000 in profit, and I was like, wow. 24 years old, I went out and bought a truck, and I bought some tools, and I flipped another one, damn it.
There you go.
So,
and it's there, and I think for a lot of people, it's really figuring out, and that's what we were talking about before the podcast started, that getting those niches to where maybe you focus for 15, 20 minutes on this topic, 15, 20 minutes on this one, because there's a whole program out there, the 203K, that's for investment properties, but it's funded like a first-time home buyer loan, but that's also very tricky. You have to know the ins and outs and working with contractors and getting, you know, a pool of money to pull from, and then what you can do with that, the requirements, and that, I mean, that's a course on its own.
Right, and it goes back to what we seem to have found, this magic little button in marketing right now, is that people are looking for two things. They're looking for information or entertainment. And if you can crack kind of both of them at the same time, which Alex is doing and which Tom has done on his stuff, it just establishes you as that trustworthy brand in the market, and people, they read that information, they take in it, and they're entertained by it, and then all of a sudden when they need a house or when they need insurance, they're like, you know what, that guy knows his shit, I'm going to give him a call. So well done, Alex, too.
So I guess putting the spotlight back on you, if you had an ideal world, I know a lot of people, when somebody walks up and they say they do insurance, everybody, you know, they most likely go, I'm okay before you even say anything else. And I get it. Would you rather that, or would you rather everybody say, okay, send me quotes and make, where it's ultra competitive kind of thing, best of both worlds, because a lot of people immediately assume that whatever they have is okay, they're not going to save a lot of money, but you also don't have everybody where they're like, okay, every insurance person they meet, like, just send me quotes all day, and whoever's got the best one, I'll take it. What do you experience with introducing yourself as an insurance person?
Well, so the role I'm going is when you see me dressed up is I'm going to see realtors and mortgage brokers, because I'm building relationships with them, because they build relationships with the direct clients. And most of the people that say I'm okay have established relationships with who has marketed to them the most, being the national brands that when we watch the Super Bowl, we're going to see all these national brands advertised, and they think they're great. I would rather have the person that's adverse to, you can't save me money. Well, I mean, again, number one is the problem we are now is people compare insurance coverages just on price, and that's false, because we're not looking at all the coverages. Okay. So I'll give you an example.
I was going to say, what is a big one for you that people glaze over?
Well, I mean, home or auto. I mean, on auto, I recently had someone call me last week, and they were with a national carrier who sells direct, and they thought they had quote unquote full coverage, and there's no such thing as full coverage in auto, because there are some things that are excluded. Here's the thing. People use the term full coverage. So a guy bought an RV and got it insured. His agent said, hey, you've got full coverage. The guy gets in a brand new RV. He's going down the interstate. He gets up, puts it on cruise control, gets up from the vehicle, gets from the steering wheel, goes and makes a sandwich, and then has a wreck. So after he has the accident, but my agent said I had full coverage. In his mind, full coverage meant stupidity. So we don't use the term.
It's not a Tesla.
So we don't use the term full coverage, because full coverage means everything is covered, and there are always exclusions in insurance, no matter what.
And that's why you should always road trip with a woman.
So okay. she can get the coffee or get the sandwich?
We're not talking.
We're not extrapolating further.
So last week, so we'll get back on subject. So last week she said, can you provide me a quote? We went through and I said, your liability, which is if you hit someone and you cause bodily injury to them, I said your liability is at state minimum, which is $30,000, $60,000. So meaning, if you injured someone in that car, the most they're going to pay is $30,000 for that bodily injury.
And you got to pay the rest of it.
And you're going to pay the rest of it. I said, do you feel that's enough to cover? And like, no. I thought I was fully covered.
But David chipped in. He says he's watching on the aeroplane, and we have to keep you in line. He says you'll keep Thomas in line. I didn't know you were getting out of line, but apparently David.
Thank you, David.
He'd slap you with a correction from the aeroplane.
The aeroplane.
David's been in Daytona this way. Are you making fun of my accent?
No. Orlando. He flew into Orlando. He's flying back from Orlando.
Yeah. All right.
Aeroplane. So we went through that. I'm like, do you think it's enough? She's like, no, I didn't. I thought I was fully covered. I'm like, well, I would suggest we move those limits up. So we moved the limits up to where she felt comfortable, at least, was which
what limit would you recommend? What
minimum,
would you recommend?
I mean, I recommend as high as you can go.
Is there an average, like... I don't know if this is even a metric. It's got to be, but let's say you crash into a car and there's 4 people in it. Is there an average medical expense you can expect, or is it just all over the map?
It's all over the map.
There's not an average per person. Let's say if I hit 4 people, I need $100,000 for each of them, or
it depends.
I mean, obviously how hard you hit them and everything else. I don't know if you'll studied that metric.
It depends what attorney gets involved. I mean, I'll be honest.
Well,
at the end of the day, I'm providing you education and protection.
So, what would you recommend?
But at the end of the day, so I will tell
you,
for
a fella in his 30s with a few assets, what would you recommend?
Well, I'll tell you what I personally have. I personally have $250,000, $500,000 with $1 million umbrella.
Do you get a discount?
No, I don't. No, that's called rebating.
Then we're on the same page.
Yeah. So at least
I've got a tiny little bit more. Well, I think I'm at 3 and 5 and $1 million, but still.
Yeah. Well, so I would at least, if you have anything, I would suggest a $1 million umbrella, because normally what attorneys will do, and again, I'm not an attorney. Asterisk. I'm not providing legal advice. But typically, but they typically will look at what's the easiest low-hanging fruit, and if you have an umbrella, the insurance carrier is going to say, let's settle.
Yeah.
But if you don't, and if you have state minimums, and you don't have anything to take, then that's fine. But they can garnish your wages for the rest of your life.
Right.
So you might not have anything today, and you think it's okay to have state minimums. But if you ever think you're ever going to have anything in the future, they can come after that.
Well, I'm all right, mate. I'll just use that European passport. I'm like,
it's called, we'll send Dog the Bounty Hunter after you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I used to like watching that guy.
Yeah,
but
well, they still have extradition in Britain. They'll extradite you back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Welcome back.
Here I am again.
Yeah. Heathrow.
Yeah.
I flew on an airplane to get here.
Yeah. So I mean, my role is, because I told you what I'm interested in is number one, to get my name out, is to do things to be entertaining, because insurance is boring. But number two insurance is boring. I admit
it really is.
But it's necessity.
I bet you look at spreadsheets for fun, don't you?
No, I don't.
Look at this row.
When Sam said we're having an insurance gentleman come on the podcast with us, I was like, "That's fantastic." I can't.
And he couldn't hold his.
I like Chris Rock's description of insurance, but I'm not sure if I should say it in front
Every
of
time
you.
I see Alex, I don't think he really knew who I was. Every time he'd walk into the cigar shop, I'd say, "Hey, Alex," and he'd look at me like, "Hey," and then he'd walk away. He's like, "I don't know who that guy is."
I know Alex.
And now he realized I'm insurance. He's like, I'm never going to talk to him.
Now I'm like, he probably told me, and I was like, I should just avoid him. And then, made sense now.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's like he was inadvertently avoiding you because you're a realtor, and you were inadvertently avoiding him because he's an
smelled the fresh
agent.
car accidents. He's like, you look like you've been in 3 car accidents in the last 3 years, but weren't your fault. You need insurance. And I was like, get out of my life.
It was a brand new car as well.
Oh yeah,
all
3 times.
No.
You
had it 3 days, that new car, didn't you? Something like that?
6.
6.
You buy it from David?
Yeah.
That was the problem.
Sure did.
It wasn't. We buy all our cars from David, all of them.
I mean, if he's trying to move units by selling me a car and then paying some lady to fly out behind a FedEx truck when I'm doing 40 on Rock Prairie.
It was a good move on David's part. It was a good move on David's part. So, what else is in the news? I noticed we talked earlier about Prince Harry.
Yeah.
What's going on?
How do you feel about that?
It all blew up and then it's gone away very quickly. I can't really blame him, to be honest.
No. It's not like It's not like she knew what she was getting into when she married Harry, though.
So Prince Harry has decided to leave the British royal family, and I can't say I blame him. If I had a choice of being in the British royal family or starting life over with a new wife and being away from all that, I mean, the scrutiny they must be under, like, all day, every day, like, on every single side of the coin, the media and everything. No, I can't say I blame him, and the scandal surrounding his uncle certainly hasn't helped. Mm-hmm. And, if I had a chance of a few $1 million in the bank and a new life in a new country, or stay in the British royal family and get photographed by the paparazzi every single time I wanted to go out and do something that, I shouldn't be doing, and the royals, when you think of things they shouldn't be doing, like, he can't walk into a kebab shop and get a kebab. Mm-hmm. Like, so I could see the appeal in jettisoning that royal family and just going off and doing something else, to be honest.
What's really funny is none of it matters. Like,
no,
like the royal wedding and everything. I'm like,
I don't know why we still have them, to be honest.
The weddings?
No, the royals.
Oh, okay.
I'm just as a figurehead of British power, fair enough. Why not have a queen? But from a political standpoint and a financial standpoint, I don't see the need in the modern day to bow down to a family that's been appointed by God to be better than everyone else. I think we all put our trousers on 1 foot at a time. Mm-hmm. Well,
pants.
Have you ever tried to put your pants on both legs, like jump into them?
One time.
Yeah.
How'd that work out?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah, no matter what, always catch it.
Always got to put them on one leg at a time.
Right.
Yeah. But like I said, I don't blame the guy.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think there's a whole bunch of scandal surrounding that family that I wouldn't want to be anywhere near either.
Are there creative insurance companies out there? Like, if you call, no, I'm being.
We
serious.
just
like,
went from Harry to insurance company.
No, he's going to turn back around to ensuring Prince Harry.
Heaven forbid we talk about insurance with an insurance person here, but
I'm more interested in Harry. Yeah.
That's true. So, like, are there insurance companies that you can approach and you say, like Mattress Mac or whatever down in Houston, and he's talking about the World Series and that, I guarantee you he has an insurance policy that if they win, that and they wager it and they take the money. And
it's a bet.
Who are it's a bet, and you're gambling. Who could somebody just in general approach about that? Or is that even available to most people?
I mean, if that's something they want to do, yeah, there are carriers that do that. Example more closely than Mattress Mac is like a hole-in-one. If you go to a local golf tournament here in town, there's always a hole-in-one. You get the hole-in-one, you win a Mercedes or you win something.
Yeah.
And so when they do that, there's an insurance policy against it, and they look at the likelihood of someone making that hole-in-one, and normally it's a par 4 or 5.
Right.
They're trying to make it difficult for you to get a hole-in-one.
You know how I insure against getting a hole-in-one?
Don't play.
I wear 2 pairs of socks.
Do we want to know why?
Yeah, in case I get a hole-in-one. And then I've got 2 pairs. Sorry.
Is this a dad joke? Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's the worst golf joke ever. That's why golfers wear 2 pairs of socks in case they get a hole-in-one.
Should have insured that joke.
That's terrible.
I'm trying to top Alex from the other week, and Alexander has said it's a different country. It doesn't matter because America, bald eagles, beer, bourbon, and apple pie.
Baldwin.
Bourbon.
Alexander bourbon.
Did I say bourbon? Bourbon.
Bourbon.
It's bourbon.
Bourbon.
Wow.
What? It's bourbon, right?
No bourbon.
B-O-U, boar. B-O-U.
A boar would be a hog.
No, it's pronounced boar.
Yeah.
It's
bourbon.
Right.
Bourbon.
So
we can clap it out.
All right. But he's right, and that's why I'm here, mate. Yes.
So
that's why I stayed.
One of the things about the jokes and stuff that I realized, it only took, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 podcasts before I realized it, but I always like to kind of whisper under my breath to the person next to me, and it's usually great, but I forget that I'm wearing a mic sometimes.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
But I had one last week, and my friend mentioned it. He's like, I can't believe they didn't address it, but Sam said something about, it going off with a bang, and I was like the Astros, because, trash can, bang, bang. But
I didn't get that completely.
Yeah, David did. David, he went.
David does that a lot, though, around you. Look at his face.
No, he does it a lot in general.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's okay. We know when he's discussed it with us.
So moving on, what else have we got to talk about? Because I've wrote some things down.
Yeah.
But a couple of I really don't want to touch on a couple of them. I'm a little bit. So I'll move over to this question I had. It's a very common job interview question, and as entrepreneurs, we have to ask ourselves this every day if we're going to improve. Right, so I've been doing a lot of reprogramming of my mind, just keeping shit fresh, and I'm always in the middle of 2 or 3 different business books and different sales books. And one of the questions that really jumps out and sticks out to me, and in a job interview it's important, and as an entrepreneur it's even more important, what's your biggest weakness? So I'm going to answer it. Do either of you two want to take a stab at it first or not?
You can go first. Well, I mean, you've had apparently
time
to think about it.
You're pitching it, so.
Well,
right.
No, my biggest weakness is saying yes too much. And I've done a whole lot to correct that in the last couple of months. My biggest weakness has been saying yes to doing the helping and doing the really taking on too many projects. And what I found over the last couple of months since I started saying no and just chopping out time from different projects and putting it all in one spot, I found I've been able to focus. So I'm taking my time from splitting it between 4 or 5 projects now to essentially 1 to 2, with a third just kind of ticking over. And the 1 and 2 that I'm working on in the last 2 months have absolutely just really blown up and rewarded me. So my biggest weakness still is taking on too much shit. So that's where I wanted to improve, and that's where I'm trying to improve. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I'm very well aware of, and actually since 2020, the start of it, I had already tried to implement it, but now I kind of set myself up. I made my own little daily sheets that I work off of that I usually prep the night before. Sometimes I'll do it in the morning when I get to the office, 6:45, something like that, before the day kicks off. And I will literally have columns because I know how my brain works, and that's really important. I think understanding yourself, I mean, from just any business point of view, and talking about how you understand who you are and the things you do, and you understand that you're capable of doing that. A lot of guys would not feel comfortable dressing up, but you understand that you can do that and that you're comfortable. And I know myself, and I literally have columns at the top where there's slots that if I actually have an appointment at a time, I write them out, and then I have things that I need to get done that day, absolutely, but around those scheduled ones. And then I have a want to do thing, but then I also do stuff where I don't necessarily say yes to everything, but I get really excited about ideas, and I will go off on tangents. Now I jot those down in a box of ideas to pursue or come back later, and I literally right now there's probably 20 of them that have just come in the last 20 days, but they will be pursued later. But the things that need to get done that day will get done around the ones that have like absolutely scheduled, and then if I get those finished, then I can move other ones over. But then the next day when I'm setting up, I look at it, and the ones that I wanted to get done, maybe they need to get done today, and then I kind of push them through. And that's been my biggest thing, is keeping track of those. But then also, you lose ideas if you don't write them down.
Yes.
I mean, or you'll be like, oh, I had an idea like that, and then you don't really think and you don't develop it. But it's okay to develop those as you go along, and you keep seeing them. And you're like, that would be good for that idea, and it goes along the whole thing where. Somebody says the power, that you write the wish down every day.
It's absolutely right.
If you say, I want to buy a flip house, and you want to do that as a project, if you write that down every day 10 times, it gets ingrained in your head. It's not that the universe makes it happen. You start to understand and start looking at stuff. You see the workshop for a flip house, and you go, I'm doing that, instead of it catching it. Or you hear a guy and there's a sale for tools, and it's like, that would be good for the flip, and you.
It's one of the things
make it happen.
I think we're just now starting to realize, not only as individuals but as a collective, that we can shape our own reality.
Do anything you want.
We can do literally anything we want. We just have to write it down and go and work at it. And that's what's so exciting about having these companies and about doing this stuff. It's
and it takes time, and you have to work at it.
Oh, I mean, you have to work.
You were saying, like, downstairs we were talking about like the workshop, and there's a door, and it's like, you push the door. What's going on? Like, but I did it. Like, I didn't go, I want to do that. I looked up and I set it out, and I was like, I have to do this.
Yeah, and then you make notes of where you fuck up, and you refine it, and you get a better product next time, and that's how it works. But there's so many people terrified to take action. But going back to writing stuff down, one of the most important things that I've learned, and that now because I do coach a couple of people, I do mentor a few people, but one of the things I've done, I had to yell at one of the people I mentor the other day. I'm like, look, success isn't like a tabletop. You don't just climb up and sit there, right? You've got to go and do it every single day, because if you don't, then whatever you were doing to generate that success stops. Mm-hmm. So you've got 16 hours in a day. If you go to bed at 10 and you get up at 6, that's 16 usable hours in the day, and you've got to assign every hour that you want. Now, I assign 2 hours at night to sitting and playing guitar with my friends. You're damn right I do, right? But having assigned at 6 o'clock, I know I'm going to be either going for a walk or doing some weights. And at 7:05, I've got to be heading out to do the school run and stuff like that. I segment my time so I can get done the shit that I need to do. And the thing that bothers me a lot is, I don't have time to do that. I'd like to do that, I just don't have time. And then we all end up watching Netflix. Mm-hmm. So segment your hours, write down your goals, and go and do it. Because $1 million in revenue a year, it's only $2,700 a day, right? So if you break that down to 5 work days, that's what, 20 grand a week, right? How do we make 20 grand a week? I don't know, but break it down into bite-sized chunks. Write it down, put it on the mirror, say I'm going to do it. It's just making 3 grand a day isn't that difficult if you break it up into chunks. It's finding 100 things I can sell for $30 profit a thing, or it's finding 2 new clients a week, or finding 2 new website builds a week, and it just starts to, you do one thing and another, and they all accumulate, and it works towards that goal. Mm-hmm. But if you don't write it down, you're never going to hit it. So anyway, there you go.
Now, not only write it down, but reflect upon what you did the past week.
Oh, God,
that's what I found important, is you have to write it down, but you have to go back, what did I say I was going to do last week, and did I achieve it? If I didn't, why?
That's why I like the big board, the doing, and done, because you can see stuff move across the board, and you see the stuff is moving, and after a few days, you're like, shit, that's been in the to-do column for 3 days now. Yeah. It's not moved even down half a step. And having that accountability, you don't learn this shit in school, though. You just learn it by getting it wrong. I mean,
which is costly.
It's very costly.
Yes.
And that's again part of the reason I do help and mentor, is because I've already made these mistakes. There's no reason for you all to make them. Come on and share from my absolute tragic fuck ups. Maybe that was a bit deep. Thomas, what would you say your weakness is, and what do you do to address it?
You know what I find, this is odd, is I think too linearly, think in straight lines.
Oh, Todd says he's never seen you this quiet.
Who's Todd?
Todd Lawrence. I have never seen Thomas silent.
From Florida.
So, all right. Well, there you go. All right, so tell us about your weakness.
Well, I couldn't get a word in edgewise, that's what I mean. And you have such great, deep thought. That's what we're going on. My weakness is I think too linearly. So I'm thinking straight lines. So life, if we look retrospectively, we know life goes up and down.
Mm-hmm.
It's the pendulum swings. But when we sit down and plan, we think linearly. We think in a straight line. Things are going to go up. Revenue's going to go up. And we think it's just going to continue to go up.
Well, Mike Tyson.
And you have to, when you're planning, when you're planning, you have to build in that oops factor or that I didn't plan for factor. And so now I find I always used to like to just charge head first and get it done.
Right.
But sometimes I have found it actually pays off to plan and then sit back and see what happens before pushing through.
Well, everybody has a plan until they get smacked in the mouth. Right? So thinking linearly is definitely one way to do it. But if you'd have asked me 3 months ago, would you be about to open a retail art gallery in downtown Bryan? I'd have said you're absolutely crazy. But you just don't know. That's why I don't really plan. I just set goals and look at what step do I need to get to the next step, what do I need to step to get to the next step, and the goal's still there. And sometimes you have to step sideways, and sometimes you have to step backwards, and sometimes you have to open a fucking art gallery for some reason.
And you're going to do fabulous.
I hope
or
so.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so.
With your trousers.
That's messed up. But now I've got to look at what kind of people are going to buy art online. So we've developed these truck imprints because a lot of our followers through Tex and the Media Foundry and through Texomatic, a lot of our guys are into 18-wheeler stuff. But then I've got to also think, well, I've got a demographic that's going to be coming into downtown Bryan to shop for downtown Bryan stuff and College Station stuff. And we come up with the Karen collection. Now, we're not actually allowed to call it that. I've vetoed the name because I think if we put the Karen collection up on the wall, but we're going to make it the nice swirly writing prints. And the first one's going to say friendship, understanding, compassion, and kindness.
Live, laugh, love.
Yeah, and we're going to see how long it takes for Karen to notice that she's hung a print on her wall with an acronym that says fuck on it. Well, I think it would be fun. No?
I'm just, that's your life. I'll give her a gun.
So I think Thomas
Would you like a life insurance policy?
My life? I have a life insurance policy.
Would you like an additional one?
Business.
Do I need?
Seems like this is not going to go well.
Could you insure yourself, say like you worked at a company, maybe like you worked at like Enron, and no, say you did, and you're inside, and you've been there 20 years, and you're like, I think they're making some big swings here, and they're gonna lay me off without any, heads up. Could you take an insurance policy out on that, like where if they got fired like in the next 5 months because the company did layoffs that?
I love how you come up with a crazy. Perhaps I'm not aware of it, but you know what I would call it? It's called like savings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's called
savings account.
It's called a savings account. It's called being prepared.
What a dick cop out. I'm sorry. I was hoping some guy would be like, give me $300 a month, and if you get fired, I'll give you $5,000.
No, I'm positive there's someone. I mean, like I said, Lloyd's of London will insure anything for the right price.
Yeah.
I mean, they insure professional golfers and baseball players on their arms. But I don't know if
they're the ones that insure models and stuff, aren't they? Like the hand model. I read a thing. Some woman had $1 million policy on her hands.
They will insure anything, but the question is, can you afford it? And does it make sense?
Right.
Because if you've worked for Enron for 20 years, you probably saw the writing on the wall.
And you probably had some great stock options too.
Or the stock options were shit because the stock tank. But you
say a savings
account.
If you knew it was going to crash, you just short your stock.
Yeah, but insurance isn't a savings account.
I was going to say it almost is if you're saving the money, like you said, against the layoffs. But say I was in a car accident and I wanted to save instead of like comprehensive. If I socked away enough to fully cover my own car, then I don't need a comprehensive policy.
I mean, that's true. I mean, the only thing you're legally required in Texas is liability.
Right.
So, I mean, if you want to save enough, then you can do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Which would be your savings account.
But you have to be...
You're taking all the fun out of insurance.
There wasn't much fun in insurance.
I was joking.
Oh. I like the way
I'm
Chris,
not trying to
I like the way
provide
Chris
fun.
Rock
I'm just,
refers to it.
You know,
I'm not trying to provide fun. That should be your insurance card.
It should be on your business card. This isn't fun.
I'm not trying to
this
provide
isn't gonna be fun.
I'm trying to help you.
It'd be like putting it on a vaccination business card, you know, so you might feel a little prick. So it was another
prick.
dad joke.
Yeah, another prick.
Hey,
Anyway,
it's not
no.
so bad.
So, but in insurance, the problem we all have is we always look at the front end. You know, who's the cheapest, who's the fastest, but we never consider the back end when I do have a claim.
Right.
What happens when the tornado hits, or a limb falls through the tree, or my 8-year-old child gets in my vehicle and drives it down the road and plasters the neighbor's mailbox? Like,
Don't have kids.
I mean,
that's an insurance policy.
that could be. Don't have
For,
children.
in my mind,
But
you just buy your neighbor a new mailbox and whoop your kid. I mean,
What are you going to do about the car?
I'd
Do
probably,
you have Alex's savings account? To
I'd
pay
probably
for
actually high five my kid because I'd be really impressed if he could drive. No, I would.
How did you reach the pedals?
That'd be pretty ingenious of him. If he's had the forethought to steal my spare keys, get in that car, find reverse, drive it down the driveway, and take off in it, fair play to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After a while,
What
like,
if he hits the neighbor's classic 1967 Mustang?
they better have insurance.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Underinsured.
The way
Underinsured,
I
yeah.
see it is, it's not a problem till it's a problem, is it?
Well, that's true.
You know?
But that's why you have insurance, is to cover those unexpected
I
problems.
think we're just gonna have to start calling it in case shit.
in case shit. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sometimes I think with like
It's like hold my beer.
right.
Watch
with
this.
proper planning, I think sometimes people deserve it, and that's when you need insurance. Like, so if you had a jewelry store and some guy comes in and he's got the little glass cutter and he swoops down and he's got a helicopter and he escapes it, and you're standing there in the front watching him fly away in a helicopter, and you'd be like, that guy earned it, and that's when the insurance is really important in my head.
I don't know where that was
something?
going. I don't know
What
where
is
that was
this?
going.
Laura hates those movies. Pink
What are we
Panther.
doing?
If you
This is like
haven't
Ocean's
seen
11, 12,
Peter
13.
Sellers,
I was
Eight.
disappointed he wasn't a real panther, to be honest.
Yeah, Ocean's 11. They stole all, and Benedict, he had insurance and he got his money back. So yeah, that's what you guys are there for.
Goes to show.
Well, I'm not there for that.
Okay.
I'm here to provide the policy and make sure
Fun
when it
insurance.
has to be paid out that I make sure you get paid out. But in the middle, beginning, no.
I had no idea insurance was this fun.
Well, we can make it fun,
Yeah.
especially with Alex.
I would not do well at an insurance company. They'd be like, "You insured what?" And I'd be like, "Guys,
All right.
it's
So,
Yeah.
while we're on the subject of small business and insurance, what in your career path? Because I noticed you got a ring on that that Aggie. There's an Aggie ring there.
It's an Aggie ring,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I noticed you got an Aggie ring. So what in your career path led you into insurance as opposed to like working for the man? Because you work for yourself, right?
Well, now I do it.
Right. So
Yeah.
how did you get to that, and what made you say, you know what, I'm going to ride this out on my own?
Yeah. We'll do fast forward. We don't have time for a long monologue.
Well,
No,
but
we don't.
you know,
We don't.
we like to keep it business-ish.
Yeah, business-ish.
Business-ish, yeah.
So
he had a guidance counselor. And he's like, "Do you like
I went-
fun?"
yeah.
And he's like,
No.
And he goes,
Insurance.
"Insurance, man."
do you like dressing up? Yes. Insurance.
No,
Hey.
for real. Explain
Yeah.
to us how you came to be self-employed, because a lot of people that I talk to and that want to you know, emulate what we do, their first hurdle is, well, how do I quit my job? I'm scared. There must have been a point where you said, you know what, I'm not scared anymore. I got this. What was the tipping point? How did it happen?
The tipping point. So I'd worked for, as you said, the man for 14 years. I'm going to use that, as you said. Out of college.
It's
Oh,
always
again,
the
my
man.
undergrad. My undergrad's from Auburn.
Okay.
From Alabama, undergrad in agricultural economics.
I
So I
saw the seersucker. I was
Yeah,
like,
well, I love seersucker. What the reason I love it is because when you travel,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Doesn't get
wrinkle.
wrinkled.
Yeah, you don't have to
Doesn't
iron
wrinkle.
it.
You don't
It's
have to
already
iron it.
wrinkled.
It's already wrinkled.
I went to school in South
Yeah.
Carolina, so yeah, the seersucker's big popular.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I love seersucker.
I heard that irony was the opposite of wrinkly. But anyway. Tell us again.
Dun-dun-dun.
Yes, tell us.
Okay,
tell us,
so
tell us.
14 years I spent in some form of agricultural business management, or adult education agriculture. So in
That
January,
sounds really fun.
yeah, it's very interesting. So I'll fast forward though.
Did you get to drive tractors?
Well, I grew up on a farm, so yes.
Would
you like to drive a tractor?
I'm going to
We
drive
can
a
arrange
tractor.
it. We can arrange that.
We got a client that has tractors, and
Yeah.
they're going to let me drive one. So
I'm kind of concerned about this.
I'm super. They've got like 8 wheels, dude.
Yeah, I
Like,
know. That's
they're-
why I'm concerned.
Oh, I can't wait. It's
Oh.
going to be great. Anyway, sorry.
They have insurance, I'm sure.
I hope so. I was about to say insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in January of 2013, I moved my family and I here to work for A&M, did international agricultural training programs for 5.5 years. And so I didn't do a lot of, I did some international travel, but not much, but I did a lot of domestic travel. And as I've already told you, I have a 11-year-old and 8-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I'd be gone 2 weeks at a time.
Oh, man.
And then when I came home, they were like,
who's this dude?
And then my wife would leave for one night and they'd freak out.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's why I got out of the oil field.
Yeah,
the money was great, but the travel, it was just constant time away from home. So I feel that.
So that was what. So the night I knew, I was like, this is a problem. Is I'd been gone for 2 weeks on it was a dairy training program, and we were in our 8th hotel, and I got up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom, and I walked into a wall because I thought I was in one of the other hotels, and I thought it was the bathroom door. Anyway, so State Farm hit me up on LinkedIn. State Farm and LinkedIn, would you be interested? So I went through some training programs online, and they said, okay, we're ready for the next step. And it just wasn't the right fit because not only do you sell insurance with State Farm, but you have expectations for their financial products.
Now don't
you have to do savings account, checking accounts, etc.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, because I am somewhat ignorant of how it works. But when you come into this kind of business, because I got through the Edward Jones application process. Mm-hmm. And when you come into it, are you expected to start out with zero, just zero book of business and no float, or how does that work?
Everything's different. So with State Farm, you can't. With State Farm, how they explained it to me was you have two choices. You can start with a current book of business, or you can start with none. And if you start with none, they just give you more bonuses or incentives. Mm. But you're still a small business owner when you start. With that Jones, I think you're a W-2 employee to a certain point. And they give you a partial book of business to manage until you can grow your own.
Yeah, I got a funny story about Edward Jones. They hit me up. Like I was in my early 20s. It was right before I got into oil and gas law. They hit me up, and I was like, yeah, it sounds like fun. They recruited me, and I went through all their interviews and all their applications and all their tests and everything. I passed it all. They gave me a job. They're like, you've beat out 9,000 other clients. I'm like, fucking great. So they give me a job, and they're like, right, you're a citizen, right? I'm like, no, but I've got this work permit. I'm on a visa. I'm totally legal. They're like, yeah. 90 days later, I get my, congratulations, you made it through for the first 90 days. You're eligible for your bonus. And I was like, nope. So yeah, they had the office picked out. They had everything for me. And then right at the last minute, oh, we thought you were an American citizen. Mm. No, I mean, I've got like a green card and a visa, and I'm totally legal to be here and work, but that's it. Yeah. Nipped it right there.
Is it really green?
Is what?
Is it really green? A green card?
No, it's like pinky, I guess, pinkish. But when you, I mean, coral, it's all hologram salmon. Shit. Yeah, kind of salmon. But you can't. They've made them. They're all hologram to where because they were forged so much. There's so many fakes from out.
I don't know why.
What?
What are you talking about?
But yeah, a green card is actually kind of salmonish, coloured, orangey. Yeah. So, but I do have one for those that want to.
Let's see it. No.
No. I don't carry it with.
I was gonna say I'd keep it in a lockbox.
Yeah, I think it's in my briefcase actually, which is in the truck. So anyway.
There we go. I'm breaking the truck.
Yeah, I needed it for when you're doing banking applications and stuff. You got to show all this stuff. So I did need it recently. So
yeah.
Anyway, I don't remember what you were talking about.
You were asking how I got in insurance. So.
And Edward Jones.
So Edward Jones, yeah, State Farm. So I was researching when State Farm hit me up, and then I found several State Farm agents had gone in with the franchise I'm with. So I'm with Brightway. It's a franchise.
Okay, yeah.
Which allows me, so there's two main modes. You're either captive. State Farm is captive. You only sell State Farm. Mm-hmm. Or you're an independent brokerage where you sell multiple lines.
So you could sell State Farm to somebody theoretically?
No, I can't.
No.
State Farm's captive. So to sell State Farm, you have to be a captive agent.
Okay, gotcha.
Just like if you want to sell farmers, you're a farmer's agent.
Mm-hmm. So that's why you can't represent everybody.
Yeah, I represent a lot of people, but I represent Travelers, Nationwide, Safeco, Progressive. I represent a lot of those, but I don't. There's certain agencies I can never represent because they're captive.
Now, what do you think about completely online agencies? And I'm going somewhere with this. What's your take on that? Because it seems to me like you have to have a license to sell insurance, right?
Yes.
So is what's happening somebody calling up saying, "Hello, Geico, I'd like to buy some insurance, please." Then putting them on the phone with somebody, and the person that completes the transaction, do they have to have an insurance license?
They at least have to have someone in the office with an insurance license.
So what is your opinion on that business model, and how does it affect you?
I mean, Warren Buffett's the one that ultimately controls it, so I guess he's doing well. He's been pumping money into it. Each to their own. Here's, I'm not, I guess, indirectly going to answer it is, you are realtors, you're local businessmen, you expect to get local business as well as national.
Right.
But when was the last time you saw Geico support a youth soccer team here in town?
Oh, absolutely.
So my question is, if you live in this community and you want us to, so I support, the Brazos Valley Symphony and the theater.
Yeah.
So I support local things here. I live here, I work here, I play here.
I completely agree.
And so I understand calling Geico at 2 in the morning is easy for you, or whoever you call. I'm not, but my perspective is we're going to sell the policy to you, but if you ever have any problems, we're here, and you can come kick my butt in my office.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And also know that I'm supporting the local community.
Right.
And I'm here to support other businesses in the community, because when we have a healthy business community in Bryan College Station, we all benefit.
Well, the reason I wanted to touch on it is because it seems like what's happened in the insurance industry with the move to, I mean, everything's online. I don't need a personal interaction to get an insurance policy. And I look at real estate the very same way. I wonder if through the way Zillow is cornering the market and the way Zillow is effectively handling all the inbound calls right now and distributing them to local agents, I wouldn't be surprised, because Zillow's getting into buying houses and selling houses, I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up with a local real estate agent office that was all Zillow, nothing but Zillow, and the guys were on a salary, and all they did was field phone calls and show houses for a salary. Mm-hmm. I think that Zillow is about to completely disrupt the realtor market space in the same way that Geico and eShore and all these virtual brokerages have cut into the insurance space.
Esurance is gone. So Esurance is owned by Allstate.
I don't
and
know
Allstate
this.
just announced that their Dennis Quaid and Esurance are gone.
Okay.
Anyway, just to let you know, and you don't see a local Geico agency here in town, do you?
No, not at all.
They're
You
still
just
direct.
see that funny little gecko with his little accent, and you trust him.
I'll say I don't.
He's one
maybe
of you. He's British.
Exactly.
I'll say there will always be. This is personal. My personal thing with realtors is we have always bought and sold our homes with realtors, and what I appreciate is they come into our home and tell us, you don't always like it, but they say, guess what, your house smells like dog. We need to do something about that. But you can't smell it.
The Zillow agents are still going to do that.
Well, if they do that, but right now Zillow's virtual. They say go take a map of your home and we'll tell you what we're going to price it for.
Oh
right?
yeah.
They can't smell your house.
That's true, and those have been some very difficult conversations you have to have. Cats are the worst because you live with them and you don't notice it, but we do. Yeah.
Well, the buyer, you may not notice it, and you may think it's fine, but prospective buyers do not.
Yeah.
Your goal is to sell your home. You need someone to tell you the brutal truth and say you need to make these changes to sell your home.
But I think that's going to go through Zillow agents to where, because right now it's 3% to sell your house, right, or 6%. It goes 3 each side, right? Yeah. So 6% off the top of a $300,000 house. Obviously, you're looking at 18 grand, and then Zillow comes and says, "Hey, look, mate, we'll do this for 5." And Zillow goes to the licensed sales agents and says, "Hey guys," because the average income of a licensed sales agent is very, very low, very low. So if they come in and they say, "Hey guys, we'll salary you at 40 grand a year plus benefits to show houses and take phone calls," I mean, there's a lot of licensed sales agents that are currently realtors that would bail on the realtor thing and go and take that assurance of 40 grand a year plus bonuses maybe.
But are they still going to work 24/7?
Oh no.
Are they? Yeah, I mean, because the expectation. How many times do you have someone call you on a Saturday at 11 and say, "I want to see this house at 1 on Saturday"?
And I say,
but there's an expectation there.
There is.
And if you put someone on salary, they're not going to have that same feel. There's a different mindset between someone that's working salary and someone working commission.
Absolutely, without a doubt. But you're looking at a giant that controls 80% of the 80% of the internet searches in real estate right now. Mm-hmm. Start on a cell phone on Zillow. 80%, like, they own the market right now. So
there was this thing called Yahoo.
Yeah, exactly, and MySpace.
MySpace, yeah.
It's going to take a real serious competitor. And I tell you what, it's nice to see, but it's worrying at the same time because I don't know how old you are, mate, but I'm nearly 40. No. I'm assuming we're in about the same age bracket.
Nearly.
And I was
You're probably older though.
Thanks, mate.
You're welcome.
I'm more experienced.
Anything
too.
for you.
So I'm standing in a boardroom the other week, looking around, and the CEO's older than me, and the CFO's older than me, and everybody else is significantly younger than me. And you start looking at the kids coming up now, and the technology they're coming up with, and these kids in their 20s and early 30s that are just putting out stuff that's completely changing the rules of everything. No. They figured out that the internet is like the Wild West. It's an unlimited amount of money. And, you know, they come up with something that completely revolutionizes a particular part of an industry, and all of a sudden you've got 30-year-old kids sitting on $500 million ideas. And that's very scary as an almost 40-year-old looking over your shoulder going, damn. But is it not our job as competent adults to raise the generations that follow us to be more intelligent and smarter and better than us? Mm-hmm. I mean, but I swear, man, I study computers. I live and breathe on the internet. I make internet shit like all day long. And man, I'm getting just left behind by these kids. And I think what the guys my age that don't get on the internet and don't understand it, it's like, wow, we're going to see a real shift in the way business is done. And these mobile phones aren't going away, and these kids aren't going away, man. So no. Bravo to them.
Yeah. No, what I'd say, but still relationships are going to be key.
Absolutely.
Because example, we're sitting in a cigar shop. Mm-hmm. There's still college kids walking in here, 21 because we're in Texas now, but 21-year-old kids that pull up and they buy cigars together and then they leave. Right. Or they smoke in the back together as a group. They could still buy the cigars offline, but there's still But there's still something to come inside. There's going to be a relationship, and I think we're going to have a pendulum swing. Right now we're swinging
back the other way.
Everybody wants to be online, but there's the pendulum's going to swing in like.
It may be that you can engineer your own reality by putting out the things you want people to see, and it's amazing. So anyway, on that bombshell, what else do we have? I think it's about time to wrap up, isn't it?
I don't know what time it is.
It's 8 o'clock.
It's tool time.
It's tool time. All right. So I want to thank my guest, Thomas Hall with Brightway Insurance. If you need some insurance stuff, obviously look him up. He's super easy to find. He's the guy in the crazy suits, and he is actually fun to watch. So go and jump on Facebook and follow his channel. What is your Facebook page to follow?
It's Brightway Insurance, the Thomas Hall agency.
Yeah, so check that out. I want to thank Alex for being up here, and obviously Keith running the show tonight for the Texas Media Foundry, and always Cavalier Cigar for having us up here and letting us talk to you guys. There is no show next week. It is a competition. It's where all these owls get together and they send in selfies and they judge the best owl. They appoint it the superb owl. Isn't that what it is?
Super Bowl.
Oh, ow. Jesus.
So Super Bowl next week.
Super owl. I thought you were talking about the dog.
No, the superb owl.
I mean,
Jesus Christ.
I don't know if you can insure for like humor or misjokes,
but this is horrible.
Good God.
You should go on Reddit and just type in Super Bowl. It will keep you entertained for hours. So Super Bowl next week, so no show. We'll be back in 2 weeks, same spot. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you all in 2 weeks. Thank you. How did you miss that? How did you miss Superb Owl?
He looked over at me and he goes,
"What the hell?"
How did you miss that? Are we still live? That's kind of funny.
Oh, man.
It is, though. If you go to Reddit and type in r/Super Bowl, it's not. They've taken it over with owl pictures.